So you may have received a love letter from Chevening in the past week or two, saying, we're pleased to inform you that you've progressed to the interview stage of the Chevening selection process, and blah 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 blah. Book a date for your interview in the portal or on this platform. You're happy. You probably say a prayer, you scream for joy, you maybe call your friends, call your family, tell them about it. And then it sets in the anxiety about having to go through the interview process. What is it going to be like? What do I need to do to prepare? How am I going to ace this interview? Yeah. If this is you, if this scenario I just described is you, this video is for you. Stick and stay as we delve into how to not only prepare for your Chevening interview, but ace it in the next couple weeks. Hello guys, how you doing? I hope you're all doing great, and welcome to this week's episode of Level Up with Jess. It's really bright and sunny outside, and so I'm sure there's gonna be moments where there's gonna be a shadow cast in this video somewhere, but I'm gonna try and give you the best video that I can. All right, today's video, as you can see in the name below, is gonna be a bit of a story time. As you all know, I'm a Chevening scholar, and in the past week or two, people have been hearing back about updates about their interview process with Chevening. Those who have received their interview invitations, congratulations on making it this far. If you didn't hear back, of course you should know that it's not the end of the road. There's various other scholarships that you can still apply to, and if you don't even want to redo other scholarships this year, that's okay. You can reapply next year. There's many people who have gone through the process 2 or 3 times before getting through. Just know that even taking the initiative, starting out to do the application, is a win in itself. And of course, if this wasn't your year, next year could be your year. Okay, with that said, if you have received your letter, congratulations, and you're in for a very interesting, adventurous ride. So I just figured that today I'll talk about my own Chevening experience, because of course my cohort is the first cohort to have had interviews in a pandemic, and so I think that there's a lot of things to learn from various experiences. And if you're specifically from Ghana, this video might really give you a good insight on as to how things happened during my time. Okay, so I think I got my interview invitation somewhere on the 24th of February, which is a little later than those who are getting it this year got theirs. But I didn't see the email for a while. Maybe I saw it about 3 days later, actually. So for me, after I applied and sent in my application, I knew I had done, of course, the best I could. I had put in all of the effort that I needed to put in. But also, I acknowledge the fact that the Chevening scholarship is not an easy one. It's a very competitive one. So I wasn't going to stress myself too much waiting for, news about my application. I had already gotten into the university that I wanted to apply into. So I knew that, well, if the scholarship came, then that would be great. But also, if it didn't come, that would not be the worst thing in the world, because also I was working I was in a very happy job at the time. So I finally saw it about 3 days into when it had already hit my email. And also, it's important to note that I wasn't on a lot of platforms. Actually, I wasn't on any platforms that was tracking these things, and so knew when it started raining, in quotes. We call it raining when the letters start coming in. So I really didn't have any idea what was going on. So anyway, back to what happened. I saw the email, and of course, like everybody else, I was so excited. It was really an amazing feeling. And at that time, I remember so well that I was actually on a work trip to a different city within the area that I was managing at the time. So we're on our way to see one of our clients, distributors, and I saw the mail in the car. And I was just telling everybody in the car, because you know, it's those things that when you get that information, you need to like tell someone and have someone scream with you or just be happy with you. So yeah, I did that, and just like everybody else, I eventually told some friends and family members, of course. But then, of course, the anxiety hit me that, okay, this is actually quite possible. It's really now within, like, the ball is literally in my court. Like, I have to make sure that I make this happen for myself. And that was a very anxiety-ridden feeling, you know? So, of course, I set out to try and get help. I reached out to my networks, you know, Chevening likes people with network. I reached out to people within my network to find out if I could get some help, if I could get some coaching from Chevening scholars. And eventually I got a response from someone who had also received an invitation, telling me that there was actually a community of Ghanaian semi-finalists. Of course, semi-finalists just meant people who had received the invitation to the interview. And if I could prove that I had gotten that invitation, then he could introduce me to that community. And of course, I could tap into the resources on there. And that was the best, like the single most important thing in this next series of events. Because joining that group page is one of the main reasons why I'm here today. Anyway, so this would be around the end of February, beginning of March. So I, of course, went onto the portal and I chose my interview dates to be the end of March because I wanted to give myself as much time to prepare as possible, given that I was working and, of course, had to prepare for my interview. So, somewhere getting to the end of March, government lockdown happened in the capital of Ghana, which is where the British High Commission is, and where we would essentially go and have our interviews. So the British High Commission reached out to all of us as applicants who had yet to have their physical interviews. So yes, people had already started having their interviews in person, and then they reached out to us and told us that all the interviews are postponed until further notice, basically, because of course they have to figure out how we're going to get it done. So yes, now there was all of this uncertainty and anxiety, but I think somewhere in the beginning of April they reached back out to us and said, now we're going to do the interviews virtually and we're going to use Microsoft Teams. So it was then, you know, now you know, you have an idea of what's going to happen. Of course, they also sent the email about the fact that you need to bring your references if you've not already uploaded them onto the Chevening portal. So here's the other thing that was so important. The community that I found, the community that helped all of us, the Ghanaian cohorts now, was so important because I think for me, about 2 weeks before my actual interview date, the next interview date, we had mock interviews between ourselves every night from about 9 p.m. Two friends of mine, Prosper and another lady called Nakoa, would be on the phone. We would we would take turns being on the hot seat, being the one being interviewed, and we would, of course, take on these roles. Somebody would be the Chevening local coordinator. Somebody would be an expert in your field, like all of the possible panelists that you could have. And I must say that I'm so grateful to these guys because they really helped me. Even on the night before the day of my interview, we had a mock interview to make sure that my answers were now clean, my answers were great, I was sure of what I was saying, and I really knew how to best answer the question that I was going to be asked. So yeah, I had a special notebook for Chevening interview prep. I think it's here somewhere. This notebook is it goes everywhere with me now because it's sort of sentimental. But if you can see, the first page says, tell us about yourself. I'm not sure you can see very well, but it's usually the kind of first question that you get from Chevening. And every page has a different question, and it goes on and on and on for the various times that I had to rewrite those responses, the various times I had to change the bullet points and all of that. And I remember we would stay up from like 9 p.m. till about 12 a.m. because, you know, some nights we want to go through 2 people being on the hot seats. Some nights we want to go through 1 person, take time to critique and, you know, help them better their responses. But basically, that's what happened for me. Now, I think I was in the 2nd week of interviews. So the first week, we then found out something new, that instead of having the interviews on Microsoft Teams, the Ghanaian Chevening coordinator had reached out to the people who were going to have their interviews, of course, first, to let them know that the interviews are no longer going to be had on Microsoft Teams, but rather over phone call, on a WhatsApp phone call. So obviously that was also a little unnerving, because, you know, for an interview you rely on both your responses and also body language to help convince the panel that you're worthy of the opportunity that you're seeking for, whether it's a job interview or whatever it is. So it was an adjustment that we had to make. But the good thing that came from that was that because it was a voice call, you could prepare yourself better. You could, for instance, I had my notebook there with me that day, and you could, you know, you could be more relaxed and answer the questions quite well. So fast forward to the day before, the night before we decided to have my final mock interview a little early. I think we had it around 8 p.m. So by 9:30 we were done. I went to bed very early. I was up the next morning at 6. My interview was for 9 a.m. So the previous day, I had received a mail that had told me your interview will be tomorrow and it will be on WhatsApp voice call. So in the morning, you're going to get a test call from the coordinator, the Ghana Chevening coordinator, and to try your line to make sure everything is set. And then at 9, you're going to get a call from the head of your panel. So that I sort of knew what was going to happen. So the next day, I was living in a 1-bedroom like flat then, because I wasn't home. I was at like my station for work. So I didn't even have like a desk. Yeah, funny story. So I like knocked on my neighbor's door. I made all the arrangements, borrowed his desk, borrowed a chair from another neighbor. You know, I set up so that I could have like the feel of an official interview, because somehow like how you're feeling, I think influences how the communication comes out and how your answers come out and all of that. So I set up in a desk, made sure like I had pulled all the curtains, I wasn't going to be disturbed, I had locked my door, you know, all of that. And then turned like my what's it called, my cellular network off, so that I can only have Wi-Fi and I could only focus on the call. So at 9 a.m, at about 7 actually, the Ghanaian coordinator called me, and she just told me I was going to have a call at 9. It's going to be 3 panelists, and she won't be on the call, sadly. And it was kind of a bummer because she was really nice. So it would have been nice to like have her on the panel, someone that you've already spoken to before. But when I got the call at 9, it's those things where you're nervous until the time. I was really nervous most of the morning, but then when the call came through and I started talking to the panel, it was really easier. And the best thing is that the panel was really nice, and they kept assuring me that, you know, they understand that these are unprecedented times, but I should also know that they really wish me the best and are hoping that, and so I should just like do my best, put my best foot forward and try and relax as much as possible. They kept assuring me at the beginning of the call, and I think that really calmed me down. My interview took all of about 26 minutes, yeah, which was kind of above average, if you'd say, because I think the least time I had heard was about 15 minutes, and the most I had had was about 31 minutes. So my interview duration was sort of like average or a little above average, and it was a really great conversation, to be honest. I'm gonna do another video to talk about like the specific questions that I was asked, and of course some other questions that other people were asked. I already done a compilation of those questions, but yeah, it was so great. And the good thing for me was that for one of my questions specifically, what is the UK government doing in your country in relation to your course selection and your career path? The response that I gave actually had people who were on that committee for the UK government on the panel. Two of my panelists were in the community that I actually mentioned in my response. So it led on to a conversation about what they do and how in line with my career trajectory that was, which sort of gave me confidence because it made me realize that my response was correct, you know? So it was a really good experience, to be honest, and it's not as scary as we all feel it is until we get in. So yeah, my interview ended. I said my prayers and just went on to stress myself out with my friends, because now the interview was over and we're just waiting for the final decision. But yeah, that was my experience of a Chevening interview in a pandemic. I hope the story was interesting, and I hope it helps you if you're preparing to know the kind of things to look forward to. I don't know if it's going to be a WhatsApp audio call again this time for Ghanaian applicants, but I just want you to know that whatever the case may be, Chevening is going to try their best to adapt to the changing or emerging challenges that are likely to occur. But the fact that it's likely to be a virtual interview should not scare you any more than a physical one would. It should actually make you more confident, because you have more time to prepare, and seeing videos like this and that from other scholars should give you a fair idea of what to look out for. Anyway, so that's my story today. Thank you for sticking and staying with me. I really hope you enjoyed it. Of course, I would really appreciate if you give this video a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. And if there's something that you want to ask me concerning the Chevening interview application, or just about my channel in general, please leave a comment below and I'll definitely respond to you. Thank you for staying, and see you at the next one.